On April 17, 2016, a 30-year-old left her home with an unknown man, leaving her husband, boyfriend, and 4 children behind. Friends and family weren't concerned until she failed to show up for work. Her disappearance was reported nearly a week later. 8 years later, she still remains missing and her case remains unsolved. Welcome to Without a Trace. I'm your host, Jolynn. I would like to thank Angelina for bringing this case to my attention. Every file holds a mystery. Every story deserves to be heard. This is Pah Pow's story. Pah Pow and her husband, Sa Do, were born in Thailand and immigrated to the United States. The couple first moved to Lincoln, Nebraska, where Pah lived near her in-laws. This move caused some tension as Pah was often under scrutiny by her family for the way she chose to raise her children. Sa remembers times when his parents would get angry with Pah because the kids were in the streets running, and they felt the children needed more supervision. The couple shares 4 children. In 2016, when Pah went missing, the youngest was just 17 months old, and the oldest son was 10. The middle children were ages 8 and 5. Lincoln, Nebraska has a large immigrant population, so this would have been a comfortable area for the couple to settle down. However, in 2014, the couple decided to move to Aberdeen, South Dakota, where they both found employment at the molded fiberglass plant making wind turbine blades. While molded fiberglass did employ other workers who spoke Thai and provided translators on the floor, the reality of trying to work somewhere where Pah couldn't communicate with most of her coworkers was difficult, and Pah was easily agitated when she didn't understand what others were saying. A majority of her coworkers described her as quiet and reserved, but those who spoke Thai described her as talkative and friendly. Pah had a history of seizures that were worsened by stress. Due to this, her employment at Molded Fiberglass didn't last long because of the safety concerns related to her medical issue. In early 2016, Pah took a job at Demkota Beef, a meat packaging company. It was here at Demkota Beef that Pah met her new boyfriend. Pah's husband, Sa, explained the couple had some arguments before she went missing. The recent arguments were sparked by Pah's new boyfriend and her blocking Sa from contacting her on Facebook. During the arguments, it was typical for Pah to leave the residence and block all contact with Sa for a few days. On the day that Pah disappeared, Sa brought their youngest child to the park, leaving Pah at home with their 3 other children. When he returned home at 7 p.m., Pah was gone. The oldest child, who was 10 at the time, said he saw her leave the residence with a man who he recognized, but whose name he didn't know. Pah wasn't reported missing for nearly a week. Her husband thought she was staying with friends, something she was known to do, but her friends thought she was at home with her family. It was only after she failed to report to work that anyone realized she was missing. On April 24, 2016, the Aberdeen Police Department was notified of Pah's disappearance. Pah was last seen on the evening of April 17th in the 1000th block of 7th Avenue Southeast. She was reportedly heading to her boyfriend's house on foot. Police quickly determined Pah was not with her boyfriend and he was cleared in the case. Pah's phone was turned off at the exact time she was last seen. Sa reached out to family in Omaha, Nebraska and Thailand, but Pah hadn't been in contact with them since her disappearance. Shortly after Pah was reported missing, a tip left by a Facebook user said she may have been spotted in Ellendale, North Dakota. The Aberdeen Police Department sent 2 officers to investigate, but the tip appeared to have led nowhere. Captain Duvin responded, quote, "We have not been able to confirm that the tip was actually Pah Pow in Ellendale." Captain Duvin spoke of Pah's disappearance, stating, quote, "We're investigating all facets of the situation because she hasn't had any contact with family or friends, hasn't accessed her social media accounts or her bank accounts, so we're treating this as rather serious." Early in the investigation, police said there was still more information that detectives were compiling in the case. Those who knew Pah said her disappearance was surprising and not like her at all. While Pah had recently started leaving the house for days at a time during an argument, it was uncharacteristic for her to leave without warning. And she left all of her belongings behind at home, including her phone, which had been turned off since her disappearance. As the days slipped by, Saw and their 4 children waited for news that would bring their family back together. Friends tried encouraging Saw, but he was heartbroken. While speaking, he often appeared close to tears. Multiple times he spoke about wondering where Pah was and said he just wished she would come home. Shortly after Pah disappeared, Saw had to stop working his weekend shifts at the molded fiberglass plant. A few months after Pah went missing, Saw had made the decision to move himself and the children back to Lincoln, Nebraska. He had the support of his family here and the support of other Thai immigrants. Wanye So, owner of an Asian market that the family frequented, said, quote, "It's very hard for him because she's just gone." Pah stands at 5 feet 2 inches tall, weighing 110 pounds. She has brownish black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a white shirt, blue jeans, and pink tennis shoes. She was last reported to have been wearing a silver ring and a necklace with a silver heart. According to dental records, Pah has 4 missing teeth and 5 restored teeth. Her family has provided DNA samples to be used if her remains are found. The Aberdeen Police Department hasn't spoken much on Pah's case, but they say they are still investigating her disappearance and that they can't elaborate more as this case is still active. Anyone with information on Pah's disappearance is encouraged to contact the Aberdeen Police Department at 605-626-7000. Angelina had shared with me that it seems that no one is truly looking for Pah anymore, and I agree with that. It has been 8 years since Pah went missing, but there are hardly any leads in this case, and there is limited information available to the public. The Aberdeen Police Department hasn't released much information on the case or their efforts to find Pah. It makes me wonder if they would have made a composite sketch of the man that Pah left with, if this case would have been solved, or at least new leads would have emerged. This week's episode is very short just because of the lack of information about Pah, and I really have no theories into what happened. I think anything is possible at this point just because we don't have much information. Thank you for listening to Without a Trace with your host, Jolene. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Pah Pow's disappearance. Please be sure to check out our social media to see some of the photos of Pow. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and follow us on social media. Join me next week as I dive into another case.